Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer by a Star Trek podcast. This is episode number, I don't even know.
310.
Is it? Holy crap.
Wow.
Whoa.
I've been doing this a long time.
Coming in hot for this one.
Yeah. You can tell we're very high energy today.
What's Jake's bit gonna be? Did Jake learn that he's pregnant?
I don't think Jake has a bit. I think Jake's just tired.
This is, yes. No. All right, so yeah, today we're going to talk about two episodes. Sorry, this isn't boring enough. Today we're going to talk about two episodes of Star Trek Voyager. And those episodes are Shattered and Lineage. My name is Jake, and I'm joined today by...
I wish I knew the name of some NPR presenter because I'd claim to be them. This is Chris.
This is Ames, but I'm from the past Ames.
Ah.
And I'm Caitlin. That's all. I'm Caitlin.
Shruggies.
Very well.
I still can't tell what the bit is.
In our first episode, Shattered, we are joining Chakotay stealing liquor from
Himself?
himself, I suppose, in the cargo bay. He stumbles in on Icheb and Naomi playing games, puzzle games, I believe. And and Chakotay manages to take a bottle of cider that he'd been hiding away.
Yum.
He instructs the children not to tell Neelix about his hiding space.
Oh, you are going to make this as boring as possible, aren't you?
And the children agree to keep that secret safe. He then proceeds to Captain Janeway's quarters.
I see. He's acting like the rest of the episode didn't happen because it canceled itself out. I found it, Jake.
That's not even what I was doing.
Oh, no.
I was literally just trying to do it as boring as possible.
I figured you were, because it was boring. That's why I figured you were doing that.
Did you find it boring? I liked this episode.
I'm doing it. My bit is that I'm boring. I'm doing a boring thing. It has nothing to do with the show. It's just a thing I'm doing.
I mean, honestly, I would listen to you, read bedtime stories in that tone of voice.
Oh, so you could fall asleep.
Yeah, you should
So
probably...
you agree it's boring.
You should probably just start a second podcast your own, just like Jake reads you to sleep.
They have podcasts.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I know, but he could get in on
already
that.
exists. There's no point.
There's always room for more.
Anyway. All right. I guess we'll pick it up since y'all are ruining my...
I was enjoying it.
Well, fine.
It's taking way too long.
Sure.
You were in scene one.
So he goes to the captain's quarters, and they're going to have dinner, I guess. So, but then there's a thing. There's some they get called to the bridge because
Red alert.
There's a red alert. There's some kind of temporal fuckface. And Jamie's like, all right, I'll go to the bridge. Chakotay, you go to engineering and help out down there. So they do, and then Chakotay gets electrocuted.
Whoopsies.
But he gets
in the face.
He gets oldified.
Not in the fun way.
And then
Wait,
B'Elanna...
what? This is what happens when Ames has full calf coffee, I think. I don't...
No, this is still 2/5 calf.
Anyway.
We're still in scene one.
Yeah, so...
We're still in the teaser.
So
God damn
gets
it.
electrocuted. Well, you keep interrupting with different things. So he gets electrocuted. B'Elanna, he's going to die, so she beams him to sickbay, and then he wakes up in sickbay, and it's the doctor, and he treats him, and he's like, all right, we got to figure out what's going on wrong with the ship. Let's go, Doc. And Doc's like, I can't go. I'm stuck in sickbay, you asshole. And Chakotay's like...
Rub it in, why don't you?
Chakotay's like, well, put on your mobile emitter. Let's go. And he's like, I don't... What
Oh, mobile emitter. Ha ha.
Yeah, nice joke, dickwad. And then Chakotay's like, that's weird. Doctor doesn't seem to remember shit. Stuff's fucked. So then he starts wandering around the ship, goes to the bridge, and everyone's immediately arrest this man!
He's a Maquis spy.
And he's like, what? I'm the first officer. Who are all you people? Aren't you dead?
No. Was Statty there? I miss Statty.
No.
Daddy? Who?
Statty.
Statty?
She was the Betazoid helmsman.
person.
Oh,
but
sure
no,
she
they
was.
mentioned her.
They
so
actually...
It was like, she just disappeared down a hallway. So she already got eaten by the anomaly.
How?
Well, good thing they fixed shit, because that would have broke shit even worse.
So anyway, stuff happens, and as we come to find out, the ship... Because of this temporal anomaly, the ship has been split up into different sections that are in different time periods. So, but it seems like and they were like, oh, there's some number of things, but it turns out like it's really just like various events that happened on the show. So it's like a little bit clip showy, but not.
I thought was thinking that too.
A weird twist on a clip show because like it's we see the time when Seska and the Kazon stole the ship. We see the macro virus.
Yeah, looking much better than it did before.
Yeah,
but still bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have just a bunch of things. We got
Scorpion 7. Love it.
And then like we find the kids and they're hanging out, but they're old now. They're adults, and each has got a completely new face. And
it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
I was shipping them. Not when they were little, when they were adults. When they were little, I was not shipping them because that would be hugely inappropriate. But once you're an adult, the rules change a little.
Yeah, it's still weird, though, to, like, date the girl you babysat.
Who played Jigsaw Puzzle with.
But to be fair, he was in a maturation chamber, so he's not really actually... She might actually be older than him chronologically.
Well, we don't know.
This has gotten very weird.
Mm-hmm.
She's also, like, only 5.
That's true. She aged real fast.
So she's actually younger than she looks. And he's also younger than he looks, but not, I don't know.
Bring back Mazzotti is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
she
good
was great.
Anywho, so it turns out that, the ship's been broken up and we need to Chakotay needs to get to engineering and we need to inject all the gel packs on the ship with this special time juice that the doctor
gel
made.
packs. I love when the gel packs get brought up.
So Chakotay and Janeway from Caretaker have to team up and go all around the ship injecting gel packs with juice to fix up the ship, and then the last step they have to do is Chakotay has to do something in engineering, which is occupied by Seska.
That bitch. That wily bitch. I love her.
Yeah, and I think the mess hall was in the present day. I think that
Seemed to be, yeah.
Yeah, it seemed to be the only place that was in the present day.
Shortly after the anomaly shenanigan happened.
Shenanigan. You don't often
Tuvok,
hear about only
Tuvok
one
dies,
shenanigan.
so we want to undo that.
No, Tuvok.
Yeah, that was a bummerooski, huh?
Yeah, so anyway, we managed all of the people from the different time zones team up to defeat Seska in a Avengers-like mashup of heroes. And it works, and they're able to restore the timeline,
Hooray.
And everything's good, and Chakotay manages to turn the deflector dish into a lightning rod, and that works. So
Anything you do with the deflector dish always works.
Yep.
No matter what. It could be a salad bowl, and it would be the best fucking salad bowl you've ever seen.
If you could combine the deflector dish with Borg nanoprobes, you'd have an unstoppable force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because both are... Okay, the deflector dish, nanoprobes, and the transporter somehow combined.
Yeah.
Just, you create God.
I liked that somehow in this episode, nanoprobes weren't the answer to everything.
True.
They weren't like the one MacGuffin they always seem to use on Voyager.
To be fair...
Chronotons is a different thing.
7 of 9 did suggest assimilating them to
loved that.
speed up their work.
Borg 7 is super fun.
Because like she's legitimately trying to be helpful.
She
Yeah.
is.
And it's logical almost.
She even wasn't trying to get them into the main collective. She's like, oh, you make your own little mini collective.
Little tiny collective.
Well, little collective is a treat.
Happy little collective.
Yeah. So this was completely goofy in a way I was okay with.
Yeah, it felt like fanfic done well, because it's let's have a little bit of Seska, because why not? No suitor, though. Fuckers.
He was busy filming Lord of the Rings at this point.
Oh, was that?
Actually, he might have been. I was kidding, but now that I think about it.
This would have been late 2000, probably.
So he may have been off filming Lord of the Rings.
Aw, but I love him. Yeah, so a little tasting platter of references fans will get, but in a way that makes sense for the episode. It's not just making references and treating them like the jokes like certain other series I could mention.
Lower Decks.
Or, not as jokes, but just, Picard Season 3.
I liked Picard Season 3.
When it's one episode, it's okay. When it's your whole fucking season, it's a little exhausting.
Wow.
I think it's very good and a great coincidence, I guess, that all of our main heroes were only in one of the time frames.
Yeah.
We never got, there's not 2 Tom Paris's.
That would have been fun,
because, there was, in caretaker times, he was on the bridge, but in present day, he was in the mess hall, so...
That was one thing, was at the very end, when like you said, Jake, the sort of Avengers Chrono team shows up. That was good and made sense thematically, obviously. But for a split second, because she had made a reference to, like, Janeway, I was expecting another Janeway to rush in and fuck Seska up while she held other
why
Janeway
not?
hostage.
That would have been awesome.
To have, like, when they were in the Dr. Chaotica scene, fabulous to have Captain Proton walk in and be like, oh, hey, Tom. I'm not Tom, I'm Captain Proton right now, wink, wink.
Captain Pro Tom.
Hey! Yeah, I feel like the convergence of all our heroes was what we were asking for a little bit in... Is it Flesh and Blood that we watched?
Yeah.
Was that last week? Goddamn, time doesn't work.
2 weeks ago, I think?
2 weeks, however time works. My God. Oh, that's right, because we had a Predator break. Yeah, to have just feed fucking people into a room and have them fight, and it works. And it works in this episode.
Yeah. I did love, too, at one point, even Chakotay wasn't positive which disaster they were walking through. He was like, it's either this or the time aliens took over our dreams. Like,
Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah.
it was also pretty clever to have, beginning of the series Janeway as a bridge character. Bridge in the narrative, not Star Trek sense. I did not do that on purpose, sorry. And she gets to stand there and go like, I'm sorry, fucking what?
What was that gigantic floating virus?
Even for Starfleet, we seem to be running into some dumb shit.
Yeah. It's a shame they're not going to retain any of their memories because, like, A, she could avoid some major problems and also, like, know that Seska's bad.
Yeah, but Temporal Prime Directive, which was fun that she was like, nope, we're going to uphold the Temporal Prime Directive. I'm like, oh, good, for once. And then later she says, nope, fuck this. Tell me literally everything.
Just like Doc in Back to the Future Part 1.
Yeah.
We have to, I can't know anything about the future, but tell me, do we ever fuck Chakotay?
Do you happen to know how to build a tub? Oh,
This is the most she's ever wanted to fuck him. And that Janeway, like, just saw her fiance 2 days ago, like,
Right?
probably.
Well, nothing makes you horny like having a fiance that's a Delta Quadrant away or whatever.
Yeah, but that's the thing is,
I know,
like...
she's not even
she's not in the Delta Quadrant.
I know.
Yeah, it's interesting that, like, it seems that both the bridge and the transporter room are in Caretaker, but at
one a
different
little
points
bit
in the
before.
episode.
Yeah. That angry woman?
I like
Yeah.
that.
Like, it was a fun little this is your life episode. It does feel very appropriate for, like, it's like they knew. Well, let me try that again. It was being like, hey, we know we're in our last season. Let's do a retrospective in a not bad way.
Yeah, in a clever, time travel-y way, which Ames likes.
Yes.
Well, and plus it isn't like they just slapped clips together. They had to get people back on to record again and like get the costumes and all the shit. So, I mean, it isn't even like, it doesn't even feel like a cop-out because it really is like a whole new
You know what?
thing.
They should have had Kess somewhere.
This is-
instead
agreed.
of Fury, if they brought Kess back here, and then Kess's powers could maybe have helped a little bit in some way. Not that they needed another thing, but also it
still.
could have canceled out Fury, which I think would make us happy.
Anything that cancels out Fury is probably good.
Yeah.
Now, actually, so we've previously... Yeah, so there was that episode with Kess where she got to visit the future.
But of course, that future doesn't exist.
That future
anymore.
doesn't exist.
Oh, before and after?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another good time travel episode.
Presumably, also the future with
Wow.
Icheb.
Still.
I know. It's like fucking. I still fuck up Betazoid and Beta Z.
How about Orion? Can you say Orion yet?
No. But that future obviously is a possible future that, I mean, no spoilers really, but doesn't exist, because we know these two aren't going to be killed at some point 17 years ago.
How did we not make the joke during the Bigsby... Or not Bigsby? What was the Orion Syndicate guy?
Bilby.
How did we not make the joke during that episode of Miles Orion?
Fuck, I don't know.
They didn't.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that would have been good.
It would have been.
Dang it.
And what a good episode.
Go back, put it in, pretend it was always there.
There we go. I will say, though, older Icheb, I could buy young Icheb turning into that more than I could buy Will Wheaton turning into the adult version Riker turned him
the
into.
weird beefcake Q thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I think Riker was just trying to do him a little favor.
There it is.
You
That makes
know?
sense.
Yeah, but he made him look like really gay He-Man or something.
That's
Riker's.
So
That's
He-Man.
Riker's ideal man. Okay.
Oh,
that's
That's
Yes.
Riker's idea.
What? No, it wasn't.
No
If it
beard.
was his ideal man, he would have just turned him into Riker.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That was the epitome of just like 80s TV handsome guy.
That's the
is what
reason
it comes
Tom
down to.
Riker is so angry, because he never got to fuck himself.
I mean, if I was him, I too would be very angry. If I was Tom Riker. Not my personal feeling.
A cute little touch that I thought of this morning, because, I happen to be thinking about scrambled eggs, as I am wont to do.
What about tossed salads?
No, not so much. But yeah, I was thinking scrambled. That would also be a good name for this episode. Or you know what else? Jigsaw puzzle. Oh, that's why they were making the jigsaw puzzle. That's a good little touch. I love things like that, and they never spell it out or anything. But as someone who's looking back is like, there it is.
I did appreciate that they didn't. I was like, oh, they're gonna make some sort of reference back to the puzzle and or Janeway reassembling the replicator, but they didn't, and I thank you. Thank you, Star Trek, for just leaving it out there for once and not shining a light on it.
Yeah, I like when they do things like that
Yeah.
are like, you can tell it's intentional, because writers have intent when they write these kinds of little scenes, because they're, driving towards a theme. And you don't need to spell it out.
And the genetics puzzle is foreshadowing for
next
Lineage.
week. Yeah.
That probably is a coincidence, but
So when people go through, people that are not inoculated with chrono beams pass through the barriers, do they just disintegrate? Or
I assume they just stayed in their timeline.
I mean,
it's just anyone who was, like Chakotay and Janeway pass through and vanish. They go through and Janeway and Chakotay just still aren't there.
But people have vanished. Like Janeway says, like the men that were escorting
Oh yeah.
Chakotay to the brig just disappeared,
Oh,
and
did
so
they?
did the helmsman.
Oh, okay. I missed that detail.
Yeah,
then.
I think
that is
that they
kind
were.
of scary.
I think that the people were passing through the barriers were just disappearing, and I don't know. Like maybe from their perspective,
Everyone else disappeared?
everyone else disappeared. I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been that. Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, and I don't need to know. Like, it doesn't hurt anything not knowing.
Nope. Speaking of not knowing.
Yeah.
Chakotay at the end talking to President Janeway saying, oh no, temporal prime directive, doesn't make sense. Because everything he saw except for that one room was in the past. So it doesn't matter if he tells her what he did. Like, that was clearly him just fucking with her. It wasn't actually...
I wonder how much of it is like, I do not want to have to write up this report because it's going to be way too confusing, so I'm just going to pretend I don't have to.
I love the idea of Starfleet people not wanting to do a report. So they're saying, like, temporal prime directive. What? Temporal prime directive?
I don't make the rules.
I kind of do wish that Janeway had given more consideration to... So we know, because Seska's going to try to do it, sync the time to her time. Mm-hmm. So we know that that's a possibility.
And they basically planned for it. They knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. But I kind of would be interested if there was more of a conflict for Janeway about whether or not to just do that.
Yeah, she did talk about it.
Yeah, she mentioned it, but it didn't seem like it was seriously considered.
It's because there wasn't enough other fat you could trim to make more of
Yeah.
that scene.
Yeah, but it just
what
seems like...
what if we go back and just make everything caretaker time and don't do any of this?
Yeah. Well, because, like, she's just... They spend a
Fuck
lot of...
Echeb, stay a Borg.
They spend a lot of time in the episode showing, like, Janeway, she has to witness Tuvok dying, her friend, and I feel like it missed... There wasn't much of a payoff for that plot line.
The other was she saw Neelix. Was like, what is this terrifying space monster? But then she tried the coffee he made and was like,
I must meet the space
This
monster.
is worth it.
My xenophobia is cured.
But not my hologram phobia.
No. That was actually, you caught, by the way,
Holo racism.
what was going on very quickly.
Oh, well, I mean, because I could tell that the doctor was acting weird. So I was like, why is it like he's old Doc? What is happening here? It was something, and it wasn't just like... It was definitely, like, what he was saying, but he even had, like, more of a stiffness in his delivery and
good
stuff.
for him.
It was really good. Like, I thought that he did a really nice job of, like, differentiating, like, and again, like, I'm not always the sharpest tool in this particular shed. So when I catch something, I'm always like, good job, Caitlin. Did great.
I love how Chakotay had the liver of an 80-year-old man and the kidneys of a 12-year-old boy. And I thought to myself, that sounds like that one Invader Zim episode when Zim was collecting organs.
That's a fucked up episode.
Oh, it's so good. They're all so fucked up.
By the end, isn't he just like stuffed full of organs?
Stuffed to
There's
the
like
brim.
hanging out of his mouth.
He
even,
coughs
or
and like a lung pops
Yeah.
out.
Oh,
Put
no.
that back in.
Zim.
Yeah, that is a particularly fucked up episode as far as that show goes. Yeah, there's a reference I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, though, Doc, magic time liquid. Now,
Like
does that...
do.
Does it... Like, he obviously doesn't remember that, but you think Chakotay could tell present Doctor, you made magic time liquid. He could probably figure it out, make it, and then, like, seriously get some kind of crazy space... Actually, no, before he can create it, fucking, Braxton's assistant there. Duquesne shows up, like, no, bad! Smacks it out of his hand, disappears.
Now,
Get him,
here's the
Duquesne.
thing, is that So Chakotay was wearing, like, a bandolier of hypo spray dinguses. Was he still wearing that after the timeline reconfigured?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
I
remember.
don't know now either. I've blocked it.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Because if he was, then theoretically he still has some of the serum on him.
Pop up in engineering wearing this thing. Torres says, "What the fuck are you wearing?"
Actually, no, I don't think he was.
Okay, because Torres would have mentioned. I imagine.
What happened?
What are you doing here, and what the hell is this?
Are there two Chakotays now? What happened to the Chakotay who was with Janeway heading to engineering?
I think the implication, because he got zapped and was glowy for a little bit, he was all just naturally, like... I know they gave a lot of credit to Doc's chrono juice, but I think his being at, like, the epicenter of the accident also partially, like, gave him a certain amount of immunity as well, or something. He's become a nexus in time.
Yeah, I was a little incredulous that Chakotay says, "Oh, you know that serum you gave me that allows me to pass through all the different time donuts? Can you do that, but make it like a hypo spray? Make the physical hypo spray able to be carried across?" And Doc's like, "Yes." I imagine him painting a hypo
So
spray
he just-
with serum.
I was gonna say he's, like, dipping it like fucking Easter eggs.
Yeah,
coloring
painting
his
it
big
like
thing.
Tom Sawyer with a picket fence.
But here's the thing: did they have to also like paint everybody else's clothes with
Oh no!
time serum, or did like everybody as soon as they cross the barrier just become naked
So it's actually...
and lose their hair?
You get injected and it just seeps out of your skin, like, almost immediately, soaks the clothes.
You know, like
It's-
garlic, with the smell of garlic.
And they make their own hair gel, like Fry.
Gross.
Oh wow!
Are they their own grandfather like Fry?
Chakotay might be at this point. I'm not sure.
You could prank someone hard though by standing near but not through one of the thresholds and just letting out an awful fart,
Oh wow!
and the people on the other side of the threshold would be like, "What the fuck, man?"
Whoever smelled it dealt it, Ensign.
I loved, speaking of Ensign, I love the incredulity that Janeway shows when Chakotay, like, praises something Harry Kim did.
Oh yeah, Harry
Kim
designed
did this. What? Harry Kim?
Harry Kim designed astrometrics? That guy? Clarinet boy?
He plays the saxophone now.
He does.
You'll barely recognize it.
And
He's so cool.
And in Janeway's brain, she'd be like, okay, that explains everything. he's gone from nerdy clarinet to Bill Clinton dreamboat.
Oh, boy.
Oh, you know what this episode ended up reminding me of that I jotted down? What was the name of that version of Legend of Zelda you were playing, Jake, where they scrambled all the rooms and shit?
Oh, the randomizer?
Yeah. Tell us about that, because I thought of that game with this episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really like a time thing, but yeah, no, there's
It's time-like.
Yeah, I guess there's ROM hacks for various Zelda games. I was playing Ocarina of Time, which will randomize like all of the chests, all the contents of the chests.
Oh, so you can get, like, the Master Sword, like, in the first level, basically.
But there's other things you can do with it. And the one that I was playing was not only did I randomize all the chests, I also randomized where all of the doors go.
Oh, no.
So, like, just any time you're passing from, like, one section to another, like, going from you know, if you're in the Kakiri forest and you try to go through the tree or through the door, you might pop out in Gerudo Valley, or, you know, just like nothing makes any sense. So
yeah, you have to memorize, okay, now that I know this will go here, so if I have to get to there, I have to go through fucking Mount Doom for no reason. And
yeah.
That's so annoying.
It's fun, though. And you can play through it, because the thing is, you don't actually have to complete the game the normal way, because you can get things out of order, so...
Are any of them absolutely unplayable?
You can't... There's the randomizer that I was using has the option to make it so that it's at least should be able to be completed. Mm-hmm. But, like, I did that, and there were definitely things that, yes, I was able to technically complete it, but it took me for fucking ever, because, like, you have to do things in very specific orders. Because, like, okay, I can't get, you know, I need this particular item in order to get here, but in order to get that item, it's through this other place where I can't get to without this item, but I have no idea where that item is, so I literally have to go around and find every single chest
Oh my god.
in the game and open it.
Because it could be anywhere.
You're right. And
in the most illogical place.
And there's ones that are even crazier than that. There's ones where, like, it's not just like the chests that get randomized. You can randomize the Skulltula medallion. So like you'd have to kill all of the Skulltulas in the game, because they might also have items in them.
Yep.
Jesus.
Those are the things that are in the Deku tree, aren't they?
No, they're the like the little. They're everywhere. They're like the collectible in the game.
I was thinking of those
the gold
gross
medallions.
skull spiders.
Yeah,
they are, but these are like the gold ones that drop a special medallion.
And then you free the people from being spiders or
right.
something.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was playing without that particular one, but I did enable... There's one where if you play Marin's song to the cows, normally they just give you milk in the game, but in this they'll give you some random item. So like I was walking around...
Typical cows.
Playing the flute at cows, and they're like, here's a sword.
Sounds cows.
Enjoy this Bigoron sword.
Oh, thanks.
Anyway, I do recommend it. It's a lot of fun. If you need to provide your own ROM to use the randomizer, but the randomizer itself is
I only have a quark.
I was gonna say ROM, but not Moogie.
It's fun.
Cute.
That's the next step, though, is a ROM hack that actually combines various games. You like go through a door in Ocarina at time, pop out, suddenly it's all overhead because you're in fucking what's the SNES one?
Link to
the Past. There we go.
There's a Link to the Past randomizer too, which I haven't played, but I think there's randomizers for literally all of the older games that you can get.
There's one someone on the internet. It's I don't know if this is like one they modified themselves or this is the existing thing they download, but it's Trial by Fieri. And it's a randomizer for Ocarina of Time, but it also changes the sprite to a little guy Fieri.
Oh, wow.
And adds some, like, food-themed stuff as well.
Yeah, put some donkey sauce on that.
Mm-hmm.
Neat. Back to this episode, but thank you for our little Legend of Zelda geek out. I've read that in the novel, A Pocket Full of Lies, it is revealed that the temporal anomaly that we interact with was actually the work of the Krenim, trying to understand the events from Year of Hell. Huh. Which sounds like something they would do.
Yeah, I could see that. Bastards.
Who are the Krenim again?
Red Foreman and his time gun.
You may have slept through that one.
It was a two-parter.
It was a Voyager episode?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, that would be like the only one I've slept through then, because I've really been pretty good about staying awake for Voyager.
I specifically remember you slept through that one.
Okay. Well, that explains why it doesn't sound familiar at all.
And then you're like, I don't understand why people love this episode. And we said, that's because you slept through it, Caitlin.
I'm like, well, you're making my point. It put me to sleep.
It's like Jake's intro voice.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was very confused. I really thought you were just, like, bored with these episodes, and I was like, oh no.
I quite like Shattered, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good premise.
I know I mentioned him earlier, but it would have been funny if, like, he doesn't actually interact with it, but just, you look briefly in the background at one point, Duquesne's just, like, peering around a corner. Just keeping an eye on, like, see how this goes. Do I need to get involved? I'd rather not.
Yeah. If we'd seen this episode before we did our time travel blogtivity, which you should be following on the Tumblr, of course. This one may have made it on there for me.
If we hadn't just done Predator last week, I'd say now is a great time for Back to the Future 2.
I was thinking the same thing. We might still do it. TBD.
I'd be down with that.
But yeah, no, it was fun. It was you know, like I said, it takes what it looks like it's gonna be serious premise, and it's like we're gonna kind of have a bit of a
It also felt like they were just dangling the Janeway Chakotay shippers. They're
one
like,
last
look, you get one little taste, but you're not getting any more than this.
Yeah.
Such a bummer, because I really liked their chemistry in this episode.
Right?
So it really made me, kind of mad.
It was the first time I was like, I could actually finally understand them fucking.
There've been a couple moments where I'm like, yeah, they'd be cute together. But yeah, I also don't need it, so it's fine. Everything's fine.
I feel fine about it, too.
Speaking of fucking, babies come from fucking.
Ugh.
Gross.
Fucking or babies, which one?
It's all pretty
it does
bad.
seem a little weird to me that
whole area.
like by the 24th century that the act of fucking and baby making have not completely divorced. Like
do a Brave New World thing instead, or
yeah, you bang for fun.
God, I
you
wish.
orgy porgy, and then if you want a baby, you just go to the hatching center.
I've never read Brave New World. Do they actually call it Orgy Porgy at some point?
Orgy porgy,
it's
Ford
a
and
specific
fun.
event. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's
Wow,
where everyone gets together and bangs.
You haven't read Brave New World?
I've only seen Demolition Man.
I forget how much Demolition Man plays in a Brave New World.
Almost nothing at all. I think they just took the name of the main character.
Oh, sure. Brave New World is great.
I've heard.
Brave New World is pretty
I've heard.
good. It's a weird high school book because if you
They do make people read that in high school a lot.
well, especially if you have like a kind of creepy, not creepy in like you're a creep way, English teacher, but an English teacher that just seems to get a little too much pleasure out of making teenagers uncomfortable about sexual things.
Oh,
Gross.
okay, that does sound fun.
Yeah, she'd be like, "What do you think this means?"
Oh no! Every single joke in Shakespeare. It's a penis, kids.
We know. It's always a penis except for the few times it's a vagina. We know.
There was one time where I can't remember what book it was, but there was like a masturbation scene in the book.
Oh.
And she spent there was like a half hour.
Was it the Chocolate War?
I think it was the Chocolate War. Now that you
I know
mention
the
it.
scene. Yep.
I
didn't get the scene when I was a kid, and then later realized, oh, that's what that was.
And she used it to talk about euphemisms, and then she's like, "Does anybody else know any euphemisms for masturbating?"
No, teacher.
And,
Really?
Yeah.
Bad.
And then what proceeded was 15 or 20 minutes of class of everybody in the class just shouting out different euphemisms.
Spanking the monkey!
And then me and my friends just started making up new ones.
Yes.
That did shearing the goat.
There's that Ryan George where they're naming body parts and they all lose their minds coming up with nicknames for the penis.
Yes.
We'll have to share that.
and
That's good.
And then titties.
Yeah.
But anywho,
You remind me of one last thing.
I
Charles Dickens.
I can't tell what subject we're even on.
Charles Dickens, in one of his novels, it might be Oliver Twist, actually, don't quote me, does have a character, though, named Master Bates. And he's always got his hands in his pockets.
Oh, gross.
So
Dickens.
even Charlie got into it.
Good deep Dickens.
Yeah.
Good
Anyway.
Dickens.
anywho,
This has been high school English class.
Yeah, so, speaking of high school English class, The Lineage is our next episode. Yeah, it's a bit interesting, this one. So, let's see. I don't know if I can give a play-by-play, but basically...
But you're going to have to.
Yeah, I'll do my best. So, B'Elanna and Tom are...
Sitting in a tree.
Fragmented.
They're arguing about something.
Everything.
As they do. And
When
then,
was this?
At the start.
The start, they were having a great day.
She
No,
was
that's true. She's having a
Weren't
nice
they having
day.
an argument?
No, she was walking on sunshine.
There is an argument halfway
Later.
through the episode or
Oh,
so.
maybe I'm mixing up what
Yeah, no,
happened.
she's in
later.
a great fucking mood.
I just 9 times out of 10, if you say they're having an argument, you're going to be correct. So it was worth a shot. Okay, apparently they're not having an argument for once, but they are having a baby.
Whoops.
Yeah, she gets called in to sick bay, and Doc's like, "Yep, test came back." Actually, no, it wasn't. It was 7 of 9 that picked up the baby.
Echeb thought it was parasites, and that was funny.
That's not far off.
That's Remind me
7.
later.
Yeah.
You're infested with worms.
Yeah, so, 7 and 9 figures out that B'Elanna's pregnant and
Tells everyone.
tells everyone. And then...
Echeb tells everyone. That gossip hound.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess that's right.
So it's a joyous day for Tom and B'Elanna, who, they thought it would take a little longer because of, the fact that it's the fucking future and you should just be able to choose when you get pregnant and not have to deal with all the uncertainty of it. But apparently they were doing it the old-fashioned way. And good for them. So, what up? Yeah.
Wow.
So,
The baby has scoliosis.
yeah, so the baby has some kind of issue that the doc's gonna fix up, so he does, and then he's like, look, here's an ultrasound or like a 3D picture of what your baby's gonna look like, and B'Elanna's like, why
There's
does
an app for that.
why does that fucking baby look like a Klingon? And the doc's like, ahem. And she's like, nah, I don't want that shit. So like. Then she has like this crisis for the rest of the episode because she was treated shitty as a kid by other kids because she looked like a Klingon.
No, because kids suck.
Yeah, kids suck and would pick on her. They called her bonehead. That'd be a great insult for a Klingon or old two hearts.
Worm eater.
Worm eater. Yeah, you know all the classics.
Soccer murderer.
And then it also turns out that her... but that's not the real problem, because, the kid's being shitty, that's one thing, but then her dad also hates her for being a Klingon.
Oh, yeah, Dad is the worst.
And, talks really loudly about it while sitting around a campfire 5 feet from her tent. Like, Dad, what
Man.
the fuck?
He wanted her to hear.
I really regret dating a Klingon woman and having a kid with
The
her,
only
you
thing
know?
I was gonna say, and the only thing I regret more is knocking her up.
The only thing worse than living with one Klingon is living with 2.
Technically, you're living with 1.5, dickhead.
Fair.
Wow,
So really...
he should have made our bad parents list. I feel like going back and swapping out somebody.
Yeah, he sucks.
So,
Take Kolapak out. He's a great dad now.
yeah, so anyway, all this shitty treatment as a child is given B'Elanna a complex, and she's like, I don't want my kid to deal with that shit, so I'm going to convince the doctor to genetically engineer out the Klingon. And the doctor's like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. That's bullshit. It's medically unnecessary genetic tampering, and not to mention fucking illegal. Actually, that didn't come up, but
Jake wanted to bring
but
it
I
up.
wanted to bring it up.
Because fuck the Bashirs.
Because fuck the Bashirs. And so she's like...
Or bad parents.
So she's all bummed out, and then she goes to Tom, and, they kind of work it out a little bit, and come to, they have an argument. Tom spends the night at Harry's, listening to his play sweet, sweet sax music.
So cool.
Yeah, Tom's just lying there on the couch while Harry blows out some jams, and Tom's like, you're a regular Bill Clinton, Harry. Bill Clinton dreamboat. So anyway, they make up the next day, and everyone thinks everything's all right, and then they get a call from the doctor who's had a massive change of heart overnight. But not really, he's had a change of mind, and by that I mean B'Elanna's reprogrammed him
Damn it.
to think that this genetic engineering idea is really a top-notch
Not
idea.
only great, but necessary.
And now
Great.
he's Hyde as well, for fun.
So she's about to do the surgery, and then Tom figures out, or really Tom with the help of Echeb figures out that oh no, the doc's been tampered with. He's not actually a monster.
Echeb's spreading more gossip.
Yeah, Echeb's like fucking up B'Elanna's day left and right.
It's because she wouldn't date him before.
Oh my
Yes.
god, maybe that's why she was coming on so strong to him. Maybe she was already pregnant. and
Maybe she
having
was
weird-
worried the baby was going to be part Borg.
Wow.
If you know what I mean.
Well, she was born briefly, so there.
Oh well, there's that. But no, I meant
shit, that's interesting.
I meant from with Echeb.
God damn, that's gross.
It
He's
could have
like,
happened.
He's like 5 years old.
So anywho, so Janeway goes in. They manage to fix up the doctor before he mutilates the baby.
Thank God, dude. That's so
And
fucked.
It is. And then B'Elanna's like, I guess I'll have to just live with having a Klingon baby. And Tom's like, it won't be so bad. You're going to be trapped in the Delta Quadrant anyway, so there's not going to be any kids to make fun of them.
We'll buy her lots of big hats.
Yeah. And if all else fails, We'll do cosmetic surgery after.
Sandpaper.
Oh, I thought you were going to say air locker.
Oh, no!
I was gonna say like
Try
again.
They throw her in the replicator
they
and
do
start
cosmetic
from
surgery on
scratch.
people all the fucking
They
time.
do. I'm
so...
surprised. This episode makes me surprised that B'Elanna hasn't had her ridges removed.
I could see, like, by the time she's old enough to make that decision, there's a certain amount of, like, I'm going to keep them out of spite at this point. Like, just to piss off the racists. Like, yeah, this is who I am. Fuck you.
Yeah, but the point is that would be her choice
Yeah.
to either
Yeah,
keep
true.
or remove
That's
them.
true.
Versus, what she's proposing here to do
Yeah.
to her kid, which is not give them the choice.
Yeah, so remind me, because this came out January of 2001. When were stem cells just constantly in the news?
Probably
and the
around this
zeitgeist?
time, because this was like around, early Bush years.
Well, at the very least, I was thinking that too. Had work started on the Human Genome Project?
Oh yeah, it had started.
So yeah, there were definitely already discussions over like the eventual ethical implications of understanding the genome better. Like, there's already that concern over will people be aborting babies because they might inherit something and this and that. And I think Gattaca had come out by this point, hadn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, we might do Gattaca next week. And Back to the Future.
What's Gattaca?
Gattaca's a really great sci-fi movie with Ethan Hawke and Jude Law being hot.
Oh.
All right, that sounds
And
good.
Uma.
And Uma also being hot. It's really hot cast.
I saw like the first half hour once and keep meaning to see the rest of
We
it.
should definitely
It's
cover
a
Gattaca.
phenomenal film. We should watch it.
I'm in.
I'm in. Do it. Book it.
When we get to the genetics episodes of Enterprise,
Oh, there we
pencil
go.
them in.
Penciling in. We love it. Yeah, because I love that movie. Yeah, because this is a very fascinating conversation for this episode. Because I know, like, we've talked before about, oh my god, Paris and Torres are always fighting. How are they still in a relationship when they seem to not actually like each other? But this fight that they're having is a very important fight for them to have, and I feel like it was well justified for them to have this
It was a very
difficult conversation.
It was a very adult fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't Tom spends too much time in the holiday.
Tom's
Wah.
fucking a spaceship again.
He's always doing that. This was an actual, like an adult conversation, a very important topic, a very topical topic.
And when they were arguing, too, like, the performance felt very real.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a TV argument. They were arguing.
Yeah, it was a good performance from Dawson, too.
Yeah, that'd be both of them. They both,
Yeah, no, they did a good job. I think it's just, I don't know, for me, this episode needed something else happening. It needed a B plot.
B
or
plot?
something. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. It felt very stretched.
The fact that that Tom and B'Elanna did go, like, person to person to kind of ask advice did feel a little... We don't have a B plot, but we want to involve the rest of the cast somehow, so we're going to go to Janeway, and Janeway's going to be like, I have no stake in this. Fuck you guys. We're going to go to Neelix, and Neelix is going to pretend he wants to be the Godfather. We're going to go to Chakotay. Chakotay wants to be the Godfather.
Poor Harry not even considered.
Nope, not even a little bit.
I
not
said
once.
that. That's when we were watching it. I was like, wow. He's like, can I be Godfather? Oh, there's nobody more qualified.
I was imagining...
Suck on that, Harry.
I just imagine Tom going up to Harry and being like, hey, Harry, listen, I would be super appreciative and honored if you'd let me sleep on your couch tonight because B'Elanna and me are having a fight.
The thing is, there's so much going on. Like,
There's one thing going on.
Well, but that one thing encapsulates so many different... Because, again, there's the obvious one of the sort of, like, designer babies.
Yeah.
Which,
Yep.
again, people knew we can't do this yet, but it could be sooner than later.
This is what sci-fi is for,
Yeah, designer babies, but also, like, the whole, like, racial discussion.
Yep.
And, like, John Torres, worst father in the world.
One of the bad ones. Belongs on my list.
Just like, well, you know, kids used to make fun of me for falling asleep in class. Like, John, fuckwit.
Yeah.
There are miles of difference between getting made fun of for falling asleep in class and being mocked for racist reasons.
Unless he was falling asleep in class because he had some kind of, like, behavioral or biological reason.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that wasn't the case.
No, I'm
he just
certain
seems
it
like
wasn't.
a prick.
I'm certain John's just a real bad dad.
Yeah, like, but I mean, that's what I mean. Like, she's being mocked for something with, you know, like, racial elements, and also, we're at this point friends with the Klingons, but being not friends with the Klingons is still in living memory, especially because of how fucking long people live now. You know, there are plenty of people walking around who were alive before Khitomer.
Yeah.
And grew up in a very anti-Klingon society. And
Yeah,
you can't
and
tell me some
Kor
of that
jumps
shit.
out and says, "Where's Kirk?"
Yeah.
Also, you get, like, you know, other Klingon kids on Earth just straight up killing kids at soccer games and stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is something, you know, I can't speak to as Big Johnny Honky, but she's also got the added issue of, like, having a blended background, which, you know, people talk about in the real world when they have that, not feeling like they belong with either group, and both groups kind of looking at them sideways like, well, you're not us. And it's like, well, yeah, but... And so there's that whole thing, too, along with the more obvious... Like, it's very telling that when she... first removes some Klingon genes. The ridges are still there, but the hair goes from dark to blonde. And that's not subtle. And it remains blonde when she removes the rest of the Klingon stuff. It's like, oh dear.
No, because Tom's got lighter
I'm just
hair.
now
but
building
again,
a clone of Tom.
But it's, you know, to go from dark hair to Aryan blonde hair. It's like, okay, yep. That's, they know what they're doing.
Arm gets stuck in a Hitler salute.
Yeah, exactly.
Woof.
I think you say Arm gets stuck in a candy machine, because I could see Tom doing that.
Trying to,
like Homer.
steal something out of the vending machine by putting his arm up in.
Not necessarily trying to steal it, but like, he got caught in the window, and he's like, motherfucker, not again.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can see this episode, what it was trying to do, you know, and it is. I mean, it's a good message.
Yeah, I think
episode.
the things that it wanted to do, it did succeed at doing those things.
Yeah.
And starting this conversation, which it doesn't give this was bad or this was good. It's like, this is an important conversation.
Yeah. But you can also see why, like, Tom actually has a very good point, but you can see why she's like, what the hell do you know? Because he was, you know, a golden boy. You know, he was a fucking Starfleet Admiral's son who had everything handed to him. He's like, it's easy to say, like, well, what, you know, like, to think that he's not, like her father, not coming from the right point of view. In reality, though, it's like, no, he knows most, not the whole story, because you never told him about this horrible camping trip, but, you know, I can see why she would sort of reject him outright, even without her own historical issues, you know, just being like, well, what the fuck do you know, Tom? And he's like, you know, he doesn't, really. But his arguments make sense. You can't just designer baby your baby.
Yeah. And especially, you know, because of the whole Bashir thing, right? Like,
yeah, so
where's the line between, like, genetic augmentation, like what they did to Bashir, which is very, very illegal and you go to jail and get kicked out of Starfleet, versus, you know, something like this.
Yeah,
curing health conditions.
But this isn't curing health, like as the doctor said.
But the first thing he does is he cures a health condition.
Well, yeah, that's one thing. But I'm saying like the designer babies.
Yeah.
I'm sure treating a genetic, you know, abnormality that's going to affect the child's health is probably a carve out in the law, but is altering the child's genome to make them
taller,
like
Michael Sullivan.
Yeah, like that very much seems to me like getting into that eugenics side of things. I mean, like, quite literally, it's trying to take out the undesirable element of the child's genome to make them more white. Which is quite literally eugenics.
Yeah, it's right. I hadn't even thought of the whole, like, you know, no augmentation thing, but yeah, like, there must be some kind of line, because obviously they don't have a blanket ban on genetic tinkering, since, like I said, that was the whole way they were going to fix her Klingon scoliosis.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's, like, the augmentation part, like, augmenting in, like, the Bashir case was making him improved.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any improvement, per se, going on with the Torres Paris baby. I think it's just making it different.
But making it different to what end, right? You mean with the
equivalent, like painting the room a different color.
Wait, which modification are you talking about?
The Klingon modification.
Taking away the
Klingon.
See, I disagree, right? So, like, let's look at the history of eugenics.
Let's.
Right?
Yuck.
So, no, but like that's what we're talking about. In IRL, the idea was basically we're going to breed out, you know, undesirable elements. And, like, yes, some of them were like, okay, we're going to breed out we're gonna sterilize. Still horrifying, but we're gonna sterilize people with various medical conditions that
low
we think
IQ, like
yeah.
maladies of physical disabilities.
Yeah. And this wasn't just shit that the literal Nazis were doing, although the literal Nazis were literally doing this, but Nazis were taking after American doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a major American movement.
Like this was stuff that was started like 30 years earlier in the United States, where they were like sterilizing, quote unquote imbeciles, as they would have been called at the time, people that were mentally handicapped.
And the mental health care in this country, I mean, it's still not good, but it was like abysmal until the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, but not just people with like mental disabilities, but also just like poor people, right? Like there was fucked up ideas at the time of like what's like being poor isn't a genetic condition. We know that, but they would have maybe thought, oh well, being poor is generational. So if we stop the poor in its tracks, only the rich will be left.
Let's be honest. Like the only reason the American eugenics movement kind of stopped is because the Nazis.
Oh yeah.
Kind of ruined the reputation of eugenics, and give it long enough, people might start talking about it again.
Oh, I'm sure they already are.
Openly. I mean.
Yeah. Well. I'm sure there are certain people who never stopped openly talking about it.
So, like, and that's sort of, I think what we're talking about here, too, is that, like, if you replace Klingon with Jewish or black, then it takes on a different tenor, right? Then it's a genocidal, literal type of adjustment.
That's one of the facets of what makes a genocide is removing from the gene pool that race that you're genociding.
And like the doctor makes a really good point when she first comes to him and she's like, oh, you should do this stuff, and he's like, but like some of these things are actually advantageous, like having an extra lung.
You could give it to Neelix.
Yeah, like just ask Neelix
Holy
what
shit!
Having an extra lung would do.
Why didn't we use Balana's lung for Neelix?
And like redundant organs, like, yeah, sure, don't technically need them, but why not? Like, it's just gonna help if you're ever injured or sick. So, taking out what B'Elanna sees as the
detrimental.
The undesirable element, which is forehead ridges.
Yeah.
But also throwing out all the other things.
The whole kit caboodle Klingon lung.
The baby with all the bathwater.
I feel like maybe because they were trying to be more subtle with it. Like we never have in this episode the eugenics conversation so much, and you're kind of left to your own devices to suss that out.
It does feel like though, like if we're talking about the spirit of the law, if not the letter, presumably the Federation shouldn't be okay with designer babies. Like it's like, all right, you can't improve your kids, this, that, or the other thing. We also aren't going to let you just arbitrarily change shit if it's not medically necessary. You shouldn't be able to, well, I want a ginger. Tough shit.
Yeah.
Said no one ever.
Yeah, well,
Nice.
I'm just kidding.
That's fine.
I love red hair, to be honest, but I just,
Well, in the, not to spoil the film that you haven't seen, but in Gattaca, one of the things that they talk about is how they're basically doing IVF. And then
that's in vitro fertilization, listeners, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, so like they look at all of the they'll get a bunch of embryos together, all from the same two parents, and then they'll just pick the one that is the best out of all of them.
Oh, and can't they also tweak it a little too before? I saw like the first half hour once.
Yeah,
so.
I think that might be a part of it too, but mostly it's like picking out all of the best bits.
Yeah.
But what constitute bests? Like, are we talking about what makes the kid the healthiest? Because again, like, if you're just trying to correcting the spine issue, that's a whole different thing than being like, I'm going to change your face.
Oh yeah, well, like in that, I think that's one of the points that's made in that movie is that like, what are you actually doing? Like, what do you consider to be the best? And
if you're able to like. Because again, the spine issue, it makes sense to remove something like that because it would mean like probably pain, either a lot of pain later, or surgery, or pain and surgery, or permanent disability, or whatever, and it makes sense like to do something like that if it's going to spare you something you'll have to do anyway. But
Yeah. But, you know.
But, like, that there's a big difference between that and, like, you know, deleting the gay from the gene code, you know, which is what it sort of felt like what was coming, you know?
Yeah, it was definitely like, this was all a very nascent discussion at the time, but it was out there.
I had actually totally forgotten, you know what I mean? Like, it just, maybe I was just, well, when was this? Like, 01?
Yeah.
So I was like 15. I wasn't probably that interested in that conversation yet, you know?
Well, by your own admission, you pretended to not be into sci-fi when you were a teenager.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So...
Well, yeah, but it wasn't sci-fi. It was real fi.
Well, yeah, but even so...
Wait, real fi?
It was supposed to be talked about either in
real
the
science.
news... either in the news or in science fiction. So, if you were ignoring the news and science fiction... And yeah, it's still not stuff we can quite do, but we're certainly closer than we were 20 years ago.
Well, I mean, I think the big thing now that we didn't have then that makes it all the more realistic is CRISPR-Cas9, which is a gene editing technology.
Oh, good. That's terrifying.
And, like, it's only been around for, I don't know, like, less than 10 years. Like, I think CRISPR was discovered in the 90s, but they've only recently figured out how to use it to basically... And basically what it lets you do is target very specific genetic sequences and, like, literally cut and paste bits, right?
Good night, everybody.
And it's very, like, useful potentially in treating disease. Like, imagine like many cancers, if not all cancers, but I don't know enough, but I'll say many cancers are caused by a genetic, like, or a failure of gene replicate of DNA replication, where you have, like, corrupt DNA that goes into a duplication overdrive, so it just, like, replicates out of control more than it should, and that's how you get tumors and shit. So imagine if you could use this like an injectable that you inject into the blood, and it would only know to go and edit that particular bit of code out of the cancer cells, and then there you go, and then you basically just turn off the cancer cells. And, like, that's just, like, one example. Like, there's huge implications for, like, medical science for CRISPR. But,
meanwhile, some fucking capitalist somewhere is licking their fucking lips.
Oh, it's not a capitalist. The first person that used it to edit there's basically a general agreement among the scientific community that's like, okay, we're going to use this, but we're going to, the rules are going to be this. We're not going to edit germ cells, and that's, like, the cells that get passed through like, generations.
Yeah.
So, like, sperm cells. We're not going to edit sperm cells like that, because that has a lot of implications.
Also, they're gross.
Yeah, and or eggs or whatever. Like, we're not going to edit cells that are going to be passed down to future generations, because you could really fuck shit up. And we're not going to just edit babies for reasons. And, like, we're just going to have, like, a gentleman's agreement among scientists not to do this shit. Well, somebody was like, you know what? There's some children that need to be fixed up. So they did. They already did it. And it was a Chinese scientist who did it and announced it, and has been disappeared. So,
ooh.
Because it was against the law in China to do it.
This sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
Send us an article. Share an
I'll
article.
see
This
what I
sounds
can find about
very
it.
interesting.
But there was a scientist that basically announced, like, I have done it. I have made the world's first designer baby. We're basically, fixed some problems in these kids.
So what you're saying is we actually are getting the eugenics wars. We're just getting them a little later than Gene Roddenberry thought.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that scientist was, like, arrested and no one quite knows what happened to them. At least last I read about it.
Oh boy, there's no good way to say this. Good. I'm not one for disappearing people normally, but...
Yeah, but I think there's also an element of the genie being out of the bottle for this type of stuff. And, because, like, you're going to have ethical people that are going to say, no, we're not going to do this. And then you're going to have unethical people that are going to do it anyway.
Oh, yeah, no.
Or ethical people they'll say, like, okay, but what are the situations where we can do it? And then they keep moving that line.
And boy, it's amazing. It doesn't always take much for people to sell out.
Yeah. So it's scary. And I think we're much closer than we think to not to the eugenics wars, but certainly to, being able to do stuff like what B'Elanna wants to do here, which is, take out parts that I don't like of my baby before it's born.
Paramount's going to actually just start breeding children to look like they're aliens so they can save money on budgets.
Ooh, yes,
on
do
makeup,
it.
rather. It's like, all right, get us some Vulcans, some Klingons. They'll be ready in 20 years.
Task.
We'll start training them in acting now.
Yeah, and I think they do already use CRISPR in, like, animals somewhat.
Make them tastier or what?
No, not for that.
Oh, dang.
Oh, God. Wait till those Westminster douchebags get their hold on it.
Oh, no.
Hands on it. I already
Dogs with no noses at all.
I already despise everything they represent, and that's just going to make it worse.
I don't know if it was like a CRISPR thing or what, but a friend of mine had, I don't know if it's still around, but had an axolotl.
Oh, they're cute.
That was like either it was like a crossbred thing or it was like a gene editing thing that had bioluminescent DNA added to it. So it glowed in the dark.
Weird.
Gross.
Axolotls are very cute.
Yeah.
I love axolotls, but that's weird.
Yeah.
But if they want to give me bioluminescent blood, I'm in.
I think it works. You're already you're done. You're baked.
They can't unbake me?
I don't think so.
Oh, well then.
Once the cookie has been baked.
Then fuck it. Nobody can have any fun.
Yeah, it's like, you can take a Reese's cup and stick it on top of an already baked cookie. It's not the same as mixing it in the dough in the oven.
Although it is delicious.
Yeah, oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
So I'm just like pouring stem cells onto my head, like, change!
Like that episode of Futurama.
Yay!
Always.
Hooray.
Every time.
Yeah, the doc also had a very good point to B'Elanna when, she says, what's my daughter going to need with a third lung? It's not like I'm going to train her to be a Klingon warrior because I'm not going to do that. And Doc basically says, like, yeah, but you can't choose your daughter's life. Like, she might want something different than you want.
She might want to play soccer and murder people. Like
Who
Worf.
doesn't?
Yeah, no, it was really probably one of their deeper sort of concepts in a while. Some scenes that were intentionally very uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think in that regard quite successful. Overall, I thought, I liked it. Also, I liked asking the doc to be the godfather at the end.
That scene was very
that was
cute.
nice.
I loved that. And I loved his reaction.
Yeah.
Every moment he thinks about in Torres is, justifying. And he says, no, I'm going to do it. Very good delivery. I liked him in that scene.
He was great.
Apparently, I'm reading about. So he did that scientist that did the gene. He wasn't disappeared.
He was cloned. There's more of him now.
He was just arrested and he went to jail.
Well,
Less interesting story now.
And given a fine, and now he's out of jail.
damn it!
But
Did we
but
disappear him?
But he's no longer. He got fired from his job as a scientist.
Yeah, but he still has the knowledge. Someone could snap him up.
Take his brain. Mind meld him.
That's last episode. I forgot to mention this. When Tuvok was dying, I said, "Get Mr. Neelix over here so I can Kashra the fuck out of him."
Yay.
Do their own little Star Trek 3.
Yes, do it. So what is the deal with because I know we've just, or I know I've gone on tears about in that Deep Space Nine episode where Cassidy gets pregnant because Cisco forgot his birth control that day, which should not be fucking possible. God damn it! It should always be a conversation with your partner, you bitches. Does that mean when Tom and B'Elanna got married, they both just decided,
We're gonna raw dog it.
fuck the birth control, because, if it happens, it happens. Or what did they do exactly?
It sounds more like they were like, the chance, because they even said they didn't think the chances were terribly high.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, here's what you're forgetting.
You're on Voyager,
But not just that. But it's like, well, yeah, but Klingon human, cross, the odds are really stacked. It's like, yeah, but she's also more human. So
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah, they just decided to play the odds, and oops.
Maybe they'll have salamander babies.
Aww.
Because Tom is radioactive or some shit,
A salamander baby would be better than that weird, uncanny valley, terrible render that they made of their baby.
That's the deleted scene. She kept tampering with the genes, and then one put just lizards. Oh no, too far. Go back.
I forgot that was in Tom's genes. Damn it. Oh, we also had a cute Tuvok Paris scene, and I feel like I was on, well, we don't have a lot of scenes with the two of them in a while. I feel like they haven't done a little cute scene together, and I thought it was nice that, Paris is going to him for fathering advice.
I know he's one of the only parents he knows, but, you're gonna go to the Vulcan?
Right?
I also like that he was the only person who hadn't heard at that point.
That was good. Because he's doing actual work. He's not listening to gossip.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's because just like nobody would promote him or ask him to be a godfather, nobody tells him the good gossip either.
But they did promote him. A couple seasons ago, he got promoted.
He did.
Oh, right.
Tuvok?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't talking about Tuvok. I thought we were talking... You're right. I'm sorry. I was...
Thinking about Harry.
I was thinking about Harry. Yep, my mind was on Harry.
Exactly what he wants. That's why he had him switch to saxophone.
So cool.
In the back of my head, it's always just Harry living rent-free. I'm like, yeah, Harry. Tell him.
Yeah, it was a decent scene. Expect paradox.
Yeah. It reminds me of the Tuvok waggling his finger at those kids in Innocence. Like, oh, kids, fuck you.
Yeah.
Or illogical.
That was a dumb episode with a few decent moments from what I recall.
The kids were terrible. The idea at the end that it was aging backwards was awful.
Came out of nowhere.
The society was garbage.
It was dumb. Yeah, I feel like that was Tim Russ did well, but the base premise was just so idiotic.
Yes, that's what that episode
ruined
was.
Everything.
All right, very last thing I want to bring up in my notes. There was a point where Torres is sulking, and Tom comes to give her a shoulder rub from behind, and I'm thinking the padding in these fucking uniforms is going to make that shoulder rub fucking obsolete.
Well, see, that's the thing. The padding only exists in the real world, not in universe.
They don't. Those are not their actual shoulders.
We're supposed to believe it, though.
No, we're not. That is the uniforms. We've seen them in different clothes, and they don't have those shoulders.
They've been genetically engineered to have massive shoulders.
Do you think the Romulans are actually box-shaped?
Yes. Have you guys seen this past week's Strange New Worlds?
Not yet, no.
Okay, this is spoiling nothing, but Ethan Peck's, whatever he's wearing under his uniform, his, Peck suit from Arrested Development or something. Way too much. And everyone's making Ethan's Peck's jokes right now, and it's very funny.
Peck's jokes.
Maybe he just got ripped between seasons like Wilson Cruz did that time.
Oh, Wilson Cruz.
Oh, yum.
Got into shape and immediately posted thirst trap photos. It was amazing.
I thought he was really cute to begin with, and then he was like, by the way, have you noticed my 20-pack abs? And I'm like, holy shit.
I decided to get ripped.
Please grate my face on your abs. Just let me just fall to pieces right there and die. It's fine. That's how I want to go.
You know what? Fuck the planned blogtivity. We're just going to talk about Wilson Cruz's whole torso.
Let's
for
do
the rest
the top 10 pictures of Wilson Cruz's beautiful.
You go ahead.
Physique.
You can do that on your own time.
Holy oh well, no, on my own time. I'm gonna do what I want to be for the show.
Wait, what?
What?
I said you can put up your own blogtivity is what I'm saying.
Oh, so I
because I know she won't do it.
It's true, I won't.
She might. That's my motivator. Speaking of blogtivity,
I do like abs.
Yeah, we do have a different blogtivity in the wings ready to go because we've been talking about a couple Deep Space Nine things. I have no good segue, so we're just going to do it. Last couple weeks we've done, all the great minor characters from Deep Space Nine. We've done all our favorite villains from Deep Space Nine, which is a really fun conversation to have. And finally, we're wrapping it up with our favorite alien races from Deep Space Nine. And I realized I was going through all the episodes. They don't have a lot. It's a lot of the same faces over and over and over and over again. But you know what? They're still great.
Oh yeah, yep. I think we just need to agree right now. Only one of us gets to say Breen because they change everything.
Well, then I want to get to say it because I was talking about the Breen earlier. Damn it!
Rock paper scissors. No, they're not on my list.
No, they're not really on mine either. Maybe.
They're on my list. Let me give you my list.
Okay.
Yay!
My top 3 alien races from the Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I'm saying the Breen because I find them very interesting. They're a race that you don't know almost anything about.
Still.
And they don't even bother teasing you with shit.
No, it's great.
They don't open up their heads. You don't see their faces. You don't hear their language really. You only hear their buzzing beeping sounds. You rarely know what they're saying. They change everything. And that's why Breen is on my list because they're a race that you keep wanting more about. Mm-hmm. And when the show doesn't give you more, you're still like, but I still like them. Yeah. So I put the Breen on my list.
No, that's fair. Nothing.
So
actually...
fuck your joke, Chris.
I'm nothing against them. They were nudged out by the people I went with.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't think of people I was more interested in than the Breen, so Breen ended up...
No, that's fair.
Number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list, keeping with the theme of Dominion assholes, the freaking Vorta. Because they're another race that's just... They're so different and so interesting and so wily.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they're just all clones of themselves. That's very interesting. They have a great look. Jeffrey Combs forever. I'm very intrigued by the Vorta. Every time we see one, I have a little dance party in my head. And number one race of Deep Space Nine, surprising exactly no one, unless you haven't been paying any attention, the Cardassians.
Whoa.
A race that the show just built so well that they developed the fucking shit out of and always made them very consistent. They created a whole world of people in which they just make sense.
Yeah.
So I love them.
So my answers are all very boring. And they all sort of have the same reason.
They're all the races that Jeffrey Combs has played.
The Cardassians.
Good.
The Bajorans. And the Ferengi.
I was wondering if the Ferengi would come up, because I find them too jokey.
Because I find that this show sort of, again, it's all sort of, like, the same reason you had for the Cardassians is kind of my reason for all three, but especially the Cardassians, the Bajorans, it's like, you know, this is what really, I mean, we'd gotten hints of the Cardassians in TNG. And I feel like there was no major, like, retconning with the Cardassians. They were just building on what was already there, fleshing them out, giving them a whole culture. A lot of it we find out through stories from, like, Garrick with their ridiculous mystery story subgenre where you always know the outcome ahead of time. And their ridiculous, quote-unquote, legal system. Cardassian flirting. Like...
You were negging me really hard. I thought you liked me.
Yeah, the Bajorans, meanwhile, like, again, not really any retconning, but there also wasn't quite... We just knew they'd been an oppressed people.
Just how much do they have with the nose thing?
Yeah. But, like, we knew they'd been an oppressed people. They built this whole very complicated society, and I think, you know, resisted the urge to kind of, like... I think they're one of the somewhat less monoculture-y Star Trek alien races. Like, they have so much of their own internal conflict still. You know, especially, it'd be very tempting to just have them be these, like, purely good people, because they'd been oppressed for so long. And the temptation would be like, yeah, let's just make them all very... But no, they dealt with the fact that before all this shit happened, they'd had their own issues, and all those issues come roaring back, which is really a thing that happens when empires collapse. Old pre-imperial issues come back all of a sudden, and... You know, not all of them are religious. Not all of them are into, you know, whatever. Some were big into the whole freedom thing. Others didn't care. There were the cloud weirdos. There was that dispute about the fucking river border. Like, you know, just gave them a culture. We saw pieces of it, but we're... made to understand there's so much more, but we're still never seeing. You know, that was great. And then the Ferengi, this was a retcon.
Yes, good. Thank
They
God.
took the garbage TNG had done with them, was like, let's make them people. A bit more monoculture-y, but still, they got...
And they have an arc.
They have an arc.
Yeah.
And also, you know, despite all that, you know, our focus Ferengi are the worst Ferengi from the Ferengi perspective.
Yeah, they're bad at being Ferengi.
So bad. And, like, of the four of them, one of them wants to be a good Ferengi, and he's pretty bad at it.
That's Quark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Moogie...
He keeps accidentally having morals and realizing,
Yeah.
damn it!
Yeah, Moogie,
Didn't
Rum,
want
and
these.
Nog don't want to be good Ferengi, and it's,
And then there's
you know...
Brunt.
And, yeah. Jesus. So, you
He's
know...
the most Ferengi.
Yeah. So it really... TNG... DS9 sort of does for the Ferengi what TNG did for Klingons.
I agree with that.
But yeah, in all three cases, it was like we took a culture and we either expanded upon it, or in the case of the Ferengi, fucking fixed it, and then expanded upon it.
I love that. Caitlin or Jake? Arm wrestle. Right now.
I guess I go.
I kind of want to see them arm wrestle.
Come on, let's arm wrestle.
I don't want to arm
Come
wrestle.
on.
No, we'll do that later. We'll film it and we'll post it for Predator.
Yeah, the arm clasp.
And I'll be like, Dylan, you son of a bitch.
All right, let me think. I'm going to call an audible here.
Oh, do it.
I don't want to, because I kind of was going to say the same thing that Chris said about the Ferengi.
No reason not
You
to.
can
We
do it
overlap.
again.
Yeah, it's true, but I'll mention them anyway. Yeah, but the Ferengi, yeah, not because I love the Ferengi, but I think that they do fix the horrible. Like I think there's an interview with Armin Shimmerman once where he basically said that his Quark performance is an apology for
Good for him.
his performance in The Last Outpost.
I love you, Armin.
Which yeah, sounds about right. So given that though, let me think. Let me try to think of another one I can swap in there. But Are you
taking Ferengi out?
Oh, I don't know. We'll think. We'll see.
Okay,
If I think of somebody else while I'm talking, then maybe.
Green.
I'm going to say the wormhole aliens.
Good one.
And I include both the prophets and the Pa wraiths in that, since I think that I'm assuming they're the same species.
Yeah, they're more of a philosophical schism than an actual.
Yeah,
it always drives me a little bit crazy that Pa wraiths isn't spelled the same way that Pa is. P-A-G-H. But Pa wraiths is just P-A-H. And it drives me nuts. Huh. How dare they?
So yeah, I don't know, because I think that they're given, I don't know, they're godlike, they're mysterious.
They're anti-linear.
Yeah, and I just think there's a lot of cool stuff there.
They're dick bags.
They are dick bags, big dick bags.
That gives them an almost like that sort of. There's an almost classical Greek aspect to them. That like at the end of the day, yeah, they're gods, but they're also just petty bitches. Like so much of. I've always said that like Greek religion makes more sense. Like, why does bad things happen to good people? Because the gods are assholes. Whereas with like Abrahamic faith, it's God's unknowable plan, which is like, well, that's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, why does his unknowable plan have to include me having garbage happen in my life?
I'm gonna say the changelings.
Good.
Sure.
A whole bunch of dick
they're
bags.
introduced in this show, and yeah, they're dicks.
The worst.
But they're also, to an extent, they're complex.
Mm-hmm.
And they have motivations, even if their motivations are shit sometimes.
Well, I'd say that their motivations make sense. Their actions are shit.
Yeah. So yeah, I do like them a lot. And let's see. Throw out whatever the fuck Morn is.
Oh, Illyrian.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weirdly close to Elorian.
Oh, Lurian.
Oh. Yes.
He is a Lurian.
I thought you were saying he was an Ilorian.
Nope. Lurian.
Yeah. And for no other reason than
Morn. Yeah, fucking love Morn.
Morn's great.
Yeah, he's great. I'm down. His funny little hairs that Dax found weirdly attractive.
Yeah, I think it's that animal magnetism that makes me drawn to the Morn species.
What about Caitlin?
I'm going to say Tosk.
Good
He's
choice.
a Tosk.
I thought about that very hard.
Tosk.
I am Tosk.
But I'm Tosk. I'm going to say Cardassians.
Nice.
And I won't call this my third so much as a subgenre, but whatever weird species Gul Dukat is creating by fucking his seed into a bunch of Bajorans.
Oh, so Bajoran Cardassian hybrids.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Most of which are related to Gul Dukat.
Yeah, Gul Dukat is the only one. Probably not. I mean, they all had pleasure women and shit. We saw that. So it's probably plenty of them, but we meet two of Dukats.
Yes.
And I think I'm also going to say the Vorta.
Nice.
Just because I was torn. Like, I wanted to say the Trill, because we learned so much more about the Trill, but at the end of the day, I feel like most of the Trill are douchebags.
Yeah, still, we learned about them. It turns out they're awful.
But
they're the worst.
But we really did. We got to learn a lot, and we got to see a lot of them, and like...
Also a major retcon.
Yeah.
To the TNG version.
Yeah. But I don't know if they necessarily made them better.
Every episode in which they tried to expand upon the Trill, they did nothing but contradict other things about the Trill. Yeah. It's a mess. The Trill are a fucking mess.
The one thing that was consistent, though, every time we learned more about them, we learned they were huge assholes.
Yeah, I think what we found is that, like, there's, like, the Dax symbiont is an alright person.
Sometimes.
Seems like an alright dude.
More often than not.
For the most part.
Not so much Joran.
Well, that's because Joran, like, the thing is, the symbiont is only as good as the person it ends up in.
Yeah.
And it turns out that, like, Jadzia was pretty good. Curzon sounds like he was okay.
He was a very mixed bag, we'll call him.
Esri seems like a good person. But then we look at anybody else in Trill society, whether it be the bozos that are, like, at the... Implantation Institute or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Esri's entire family.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah, they all suck.
They're all just miserable pieces of shit.
Like
or that guy that tried to steal Dax
at
that time.
Yeah. No, really, like, it's like, I feel like, whenever we talk about what assholes the Vulcans are, it's like, yeah, but look at the Trill. It's a good point. The Vulcans are great.
Yeah, fucking Trill. Jerkhead.
But yeah, the show did a lot with them, too. Again, unfortunately, it was revealed they are the worst.
Yeah, and also, we have no idea what we're writing. We had no plan. Every one of our writers is doing their own thing.
It does make a weird sort of sense. It's like, if you've got this resource, for lack of a better term, that a lot of people want...
The
sort of people want this Because I'm sure, it's very sought after because there is this kind of semi-immortality to it. That, a lot of people want it. They've only got so many, so they create this whole lie that, a very, very small segment of the population can be joined, and it turns out to be a lot more.
A very, very small segment of the population.
Get him in a short trek if they would bring those back.
Yay. I would love if they brought short treks back.
Yeah, those are fun. But yeah.
Couple other honorable mentions here. The Jem'Hadar are a lot of fun.
Yep.
Just this race of warriors that are effectively slaves.
Yep.
Driven by their addiction that has been forced upon them.
Yep.
I find them very interesting.
And as you pointed out at the time, Jake, I forget if we made it explicit, but I remember when we first saw the Tosk episode, you sort of hinted at this feels like an early draft Jem'Hadar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because of a lot of his abilities and such.
The Dosai, specifically because they had great fucking makeup.
Which one were they?
They were the ones with the red faces that was making the Tulaberry wine deal with Quark.
I was going to bring them up as sort of a joke. But yes.
I thought their makeup was great.
Oh, makeup was great. We just don't really know enough about them to...
What was it? The Scalarans or whatever?
The Screens?
The Screens. The ones with their...
flaky heads?
Flaky,
yes.
Oh, that makeup. It was so well done, but so repulsive.
Yeah, it was real gross.
Of course... Gotta mention the move along home assholes.
They
have a name. Okay, good.
I did put them on my list because I imagined we would have so much overlap that we were not going to be able to fill the full grid. So I was like, I need a couple spare races for whatever we need.
Oh,
what about the people that have the quickening?
What was their name?
I keep wanting to call them Vidians, but that's not them.
Did they have obviously the ones who were ill had makeup, but did they have a look or were they just people?
They were mostly just people. I
Didn't
think.
they have? I thought they. Didn't they
some
have
kind of nose something.
I thought they had
a forehead
thing.
Like a stripy bits.
It's been a while, so I don't really remember.
Maybe mixed up, but didn't they have almost like a lightning bolt effect on their
I
heads?
have to
I
look.
thought that was just the ones that had the disease, but I'm not positive.
Maybe.
I know when they got the disease, they got nasty lines all over their face or something.
Lesions.
But
Lesions,
everyone
right.
had the disease, but they hadn't quickened yet.
Well, yes.
Nestle's quickened.
Oh, Caitlin suggested he clearly did not make her list, but whatever Vic Fontaine is,
He's a hologram.
Sentient hologram. So
That's true.
him and Moriarty, and arguably at this point the EMH.
What do you mean arguably?
He's sentient, right?
The MH?
Yeah.
Indubitably. He's the most sentient.
They just haven't. I just feel like they haven't had the explicit discussion yet. But
I think since day one he was sentient.
Mm.
The Elazians, oh god, I've lost her name. The girl in the wheelchair that
Melora.
Julie...
Oh!
Melora Paslar.
Yeah.
That Julie wanted to bone.
But is she the only one of them that we see?
Yes. But that doesn't matter.
No, but why are they a top race? Just they are a race?
Well, they're kind of an interesting race, too, though. They're weird,
Yeah.
They live in extremely low gravity.
Yeah.
They're gonna be the fact that they're made out of the bottom half is a wheelchair.
No, but
the evolved wheels.
Some kind of weird human car hybrid. I mean, what's not great about that?
But yeah, no,
what's the problem?
It's I think the only time so far, still, that Trek has had we've got a race here that doesn't fit into the
gravity,
the median sort of environment we have. Up until this point, the most notable difference we had were the Benzites who needed their vapes.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, everyone conveniently, this gravity's fine, this air is fine, everything's fine. Whereas in reality, but you think there would be a bit more, you'd need some people who again, they can't deal with this gravity. Why isn't there a species walking around that actually we kind of need suits to walk around your ships? Or alternately, it's this ship is crewed entirely by this one species because they need to breathe sulfur. They're still part of the Federation, they're still in Starfleet, but literally no one else is on their ship. Because it would be bad.
Stinks.
That's even actually, they don't address this, but that is one thing that they do in Mass Effect is...
Well, don't the Volus always wear their suits?
Actually, I forgot about them, yes. But there's no main character. But there's a species called the Volus who we only ever see in special pressure suits because...
are you thinking of, what's his name, Erdnot?
No.
Rex? Oh.
Okay. But I'll get to it. But yeah, so the Volus need, pressure suits because they can't exist in the, atmospheric pressure that everyone else does. But it's also brought up that, the Turians and the
Limblibs.
Quarian, the Turians and the Quarians both have different type of DNA sequence. And so they breathe the same air, the gravity's fine, but they can't eat human food and vice versa because it's poisonous to one another. And even something simple like that I feel like doesn't even really come up in Trek. Like sometimes there's dietary restrictions, Vulcans are generally vegetarian, but...
There was that guy in Allegiance that couldn't eat the pucks when they were in that little prison cell.
Right, yeah. But yeah...
I, as a matter of principle, I don't eat urinal cakes.
That's fair. But yeah, so it's rare to see Trek actually address that, and, you know.
Yeah, you'd think it would also be coming up more in New Trek since they have more ways that they can do, like, CGI stuff and build shit.
Yeah, more money to build anything, really.
I feel like in Enterprise, when we see that aquatic race, that's going to come up a little bit.
I mean, we barely see the aquatic Zindies.
Yeah. Sure.
We barely see them.
What?
Look, well, because they're CG.
Yeah, because they live in an aquarium.
Yeah.
Oh, like Kirk and Spock did in the Ambergris Element.
Yes.
Or a guild navigator.
Right.
Yeah.
Neat. All
cool.
Right. We're closing the book on Deep Space Nine. We have left. No more of that. We do have more shit for next week, though. Next week, we're doing more Voyager. Shocking.
Voyager.
So next week, episodes are going to be Repentance and Prophecy. Make sure you're following along with that, because
titles certainly feel like they go together. Even, we'll see if the episodes... I just feel like Repentance, Prophecy, they're all semi-religious kind of things.
Sure. They don't go together, but okay.
Damn.
They're both one-offs. So, yeah, so we'll watch those next week, and we'll let you know how they go. Maybe we'll watch Back to the Future at some point. Maybe we'll watch Gattaca at some point.
Ooh.
You definitely want to be following this channel for all of the fun stuff we're going to do. You should also be following our blog, where all these pictures of all our favorite races are going to be up with some snark. That is over at sshppodcast.com, or just search the Tumblr, or just click the links, or just do the things. We're on Facebook and Twitter, like you do-ish. That's all from me this week. This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
Jake.
And as always, Chris.
And as the Ferengi say, a good lie is easier to believe than the truth.
Good line. But is it a rule of acquisition, I wonder? She didn't say.
It's something. It's just one of their sayings.
They just say it sometimes. You know what else they say?